At the portal of this recording here, I need to make this clear that God had not invented sex. Now, when I was in college, there was this young boy. He brought this book, God Invented Sex, and it sounded exciting and so on, and trying to show that Christians should have a healthy view of sex. I don't know if Christians don't have, but at least some people think so. All right. Now, we got to go back to the beginning. We got to go to Adam and Eve and God's plan. God's plan was that Adam and Eve were created, and they were to go on a procreation stint and to bring the numbers up to the amount of angels that were thrown out with Satan. A third of the angels were cast out. They were to create individuals up to that number, and then reproduction would have stopped, and they would have been made immortal and become angels. This is why they were created a little lower than the angels. Now, many people try to say that man was created in the image of God, and therefore the way man looked, that's the way God looks. Well, of course, we don't look like Adam and Eve, so there we have a problem right away. Adam and Eve, they were just one people. She was taken from him. So whatever he was, she was. And so, all this black, white, and yellow, and all this pride we have out here, we so pretty and all that stuff, and important and so forth. That's irrelevant because Adam and Eve, they were giants, and they were, red as far as it seems, because they were taken from the ground, and the word Adam seems to suggest red. Not red Indian, they're from Asia, so we ain't going there. Alright, they were red. You see, you gotta remember too that many ancient peoples, like these native people, they're dressed naked. They're naked, and they figure like this is the way it was because Adam and Eve, they weren't wearing clothes until they sinned, and God, slaughtered a lamb and made them clothes of the fleece from the lamb. But they had a light that covered their persons, and they weren't naked. And you couldn't see their person because the light was covering them. For privacy's sake, for sitting around and, the nature of women, I don't know if Eve was the same nature as women have today, but nevertheless, I don't think that God is like that. There is modesty, there is self-respect, and there's a whole bunch of other things that go along with it. Now, there was a debate when Christ was there, and these people go up upon him and say, look, one woman, nice lady, she married to 7 brothers, each dying. So when she get to heaven, whose wife she's going to be? And Jesus said, you don't understand. In heaven, there ain't going to be no marriage and no life and no sex and none of that. Okay. So, why then would he create, of course, he wanted to develop, angels, let them pass the test and show that they're faithful and the whole 9 yards. So you have to go that way. Now, sex, according to the Bible, was that Adam knew his wife, and she conceived and bore a son. Now, we don't know what happened in the interval, whether they had a routine or whatever. It seems like they just had sex to have kids. Now, Eve's body is so different from these present women, and also men. Our bodies are different. It's highly probable that there was a different reproductive strategy in that we have ovulating times, a regular thing, and so on, the bleeding, etc., which is the food that hasn't been used to feed a zygote or an embryo or whatever, what they shed, and the next month some more is gathered. There could have been a different process, because there are some animals out there that they're not, is when they're having sex, they stimulate the sort of ovaries to release the eggs then. So if they don't have sex, no eggs come down, no period. Also, you have asexual things out there. This organism has both male and female organs, and it just does reproduction. Also, it's highly probable that Eve could have God come into and say, look, go ahead and make the next pair of kids, because they were born in pairs. This is how Cain got his wife. When you mentioned, a girl being born, just said Cain was born, but he was born with a person that we was going to say is his sister. But you see, Adam, Eve was taken from Adam, and God did a trick and changed the genetic makeup from Y to XX, so she's a woman. Nevertheless, when he had sex with her, there was no sort of incest, because the way the body was made, there was no incest consideration, because when Cain was born with his sister, again, there was no incest, there was no malformed or no one's born because the family or whatever. That is how the body was. It was different. So we mixed up with animals and we did all kinds of stuff, and we declined to this where we at. And now, or for a long time now, when you're married to a relative, you're going to have deformity, you're going to have problems. Okay? So along the way, in the degeneration from this angelic-ish, a little lower than angels to where we are, these two worlds out here, we have developed now, and the bodies have changed, and we know women have ovulation time where they get horny and all this kind of stuff. And men are always ready, so to, when they're ready to get it done, and so forth. Both still maintain something because they both had to be at the same time, and then, it's like it's going to be a problem. They never connect except you put stuff in the freezer, and then when she's ready, you put it in. But God still controls things to the extent where it works the way it works today. However, it seems as if we have acquired this dependence on sex over time. And we see where it probably could even be psychological. Because long ago, my mom and others used to say that, we don't need men. It's just like when we need this kind of like ovulating time pregnancy thing, and if they don't want to get pregnant, we don't need a man. But then in the 60s and the 70s, when they start singing Carnival, of women start coming out honest and saying, I want it, give it to me, yeah, and so on. Things have changed. And it seems as if the way we think also affects, there's a psychosomatic way we think it affects us in a variety of ways. So that we have now come to the place where we need sex, and it seems like to live, to get saved, to be successful, to everything. I used to recommend to my wife, you have a headache, maybe you need to have some sex. She used to say, you think sex is for everything. And so, sex, look here. Recently, from the 60s on, we start talking how older women are so sexy, and they must have it. And I recall when I was married, early, my wife used to say, I don't like to have sex except when it's ovulating time. In other words, she's saying. And when the honey coming down out of the milk, different people got different, substances that bring around the egg and make the environment for the sperms to slide up and all that, or slide across or up or down or whatever. And so on. But as they get older and they get conditioned now and they're ready to help you out and so on, and she's saying that, it's not good, you got to use substances and buying this Vaseline, some petroleum something to store and all this kind of stuff. But you find out 70-year-old, 80-year-old woman looking out and saying she's horny and she wants to have an kind of, what they call it, orgasm and all this kind of stuff. So the media and really thinking now, making these old women feel like they need to have sex. But you see, when we go to heaven and you change from mortal to immortal, again, there's not going to be any more sex, there's not going to be any more children being born, I understand. Because there's going to be no sex, there's going to be no children. Alright? So it seems simply to conclude that this big emphasis we put on sex has come because of our impotence and because of our regeneration and our devolution and where we are today. And but when I was on campus, I don't know what's in the women's minds, because whenever they ovulating and so forth, they go through a whole bunch of experiences, and perhaps they want you and all this kind of stuff, and God has a way that He's going to help them out there. But we were trying to keep a neat lie, and a lot of lie when you're talking to these women. You don't look on the breast or down there, you look them in the face and talk. And I'm telling you the truth. There are many, many women that I have interacted with, and you can't rule out, but subconsciously there's this feeling that, oh boy, I would really enjoy that one. You know, but you talk with them and you have a relationship where it wasn't sexual. It wasn't what you're thinking about sex. You could even go to your room and sit down and talk to them and sex even coming up. I don't know what's in their mind, as I said. But, you know, so, I mean, it's different. And so when people are spiritual, it seems, and they put sex in its right place, then, you know, everything's good. You see, I don't understand the depth, or I don't know if anybody's ever gone there, but we have a close relationship with God. Okay? I mean, sex is important. It brings two people together in a way that nothing else can. Conversation, everything can. But, you know, like 4 times a day, every day and all that, there's abuse in it. And I'm saying that if somebody is really spiritual and everything is in place, you know, being together, conversation, discussing this and that, planning things, going here, doing that, all of that is a part of the relationship. So the sex is just maybe a combination or has a special significance, but it's not about, it's all that you're going to do to stay together. You see? So that I don't think God has created sex the way it is today, or so on. Now, I'm going to throw this in the same thing. God told Eve, because she had gone and followed Satan and caused Adam to sin and all that, her, there's going to be, childbirth is going to be very painful. But I don't think it happened with Eve because her body had not changed. The body she had is the one that God gave her. I'm not sure. You see, God used to be there. It's angels that helped her deliver the first babies because babies were never born and nobody had any understanding of what happens and so forth and so forth. So the angels were there instructing her. Maybe Jesus was there watching over the whole process and doing things. And perhaps being God is there, he could create an anesthesia so that, you know, you don't feel the pain, etc. But then on the other hand, the flesh that they have, and you see sometimes the example fat, they're fat one day, and I was like, oh, big and fat, you know. That helps to do the delivery thing because all that fat is going to expand out and become very thin so that the baby could be born. So that's why they have all this jaw and all this fat on there. It's not that, oh, look at that fat for me. No, it's going to expand. If there's no big set of fat up there, then there's going to be no big expansion and you can't have a baby after the C-section. You know? So maybe Eve had some way. And then look at this. Today, babies are born, maybe they lose 10 pounds. Okay? And some women are 100 pounds. 120 pounds, so the babies 1/12, a tenth of their weight. But no, not pounds, pounds. Or ounces. So if it's 10 ounces, then the baby's going to be, 5/8. You know, it's going to be about 20. If she's 100 pounds, it's a 1/60th of her weight. Okay, 1/60th of her weight. And then some of them are 8 inches, and the man is or 10 inches, or 11 inches, whatever. The man is 6 feet, living here 6 feet. So again, the child is going to be like around 20th of her height. So when Eve was almost like 18 feet tall, so the babies will be born, you know, maybe 3 feet long. And if she weighed 500 pounds, because to be that high and that big and strong, she might have weighed 500 pounds cool, at least. So 1/60th of that is going to be close to 40 pounds. See? And so, I mean, you know, another thing to want to look at, which I don't really understand it, maturation. These babies being born so small and so short and so light, and these babies born so heavy and so long. Did they mature faster? No, because we see where when I think it was one of the boys was either one of the Jewish boys, either Ishmael or whatever, he was almost 40. When the parents realized, well, he needed companionship of that sort, because he was at home and everything else. And then they arranged to get a wife from afar. She came, and then he was out in the field, and then he saw them coming, he ran and grabbed her and hugged her and so on and so forth. So maybe at that age is when he had the need for it, and that sort of need now is for at 10 years. These kids at 10 years feeling like they need to get married or something. Maybe those sort of period when they were maybe flirted for the first time, because we see there's a declension. In my day, girls were seen period for the first time 14 years, and before that maybe it's 16. Who knows? I don't know how far down that these young girls that, like Cain's wife, I don't know when she saw her period, but they had enough time to, and then of course, although they were born as a pair, I don't think they were engaging in sex as soon as they catch themselves, 10, 9, whatever. Some way they were busy doing things. I sneaking the bush and sticking around or whatever. No, they operated right. I don't know when they got married or whatever, and so forth. So I don't believe God invented no sex. It's just that these folks, these perverts out here trying to blame God for something that they need so badly, and they come to feel the need so much. But I don't think God invented sex. He invented reproduction, and what sex seemed to give people is what is missing from them in a relationship with God. If they had a relationship with God, then they wouldn't need be so dependent on sex, as it were. And so Adam and Eve had just come from God. He would come down and have conversations with them. Angels were there with them, and so they were. So basically, I don't think they had time to be screwing every now and then, but sneaking in and want to have some sex.